And welcome back to another episode of Jeff and Joe's Puerto Rican Kitchen, where we show you how to make easy, authentic Puerto Rican recipes. It's still the holidays and we're still in Puerto Rico, but now we're over on the West Coast where I grew up. And one of the best parts of being here is that I get to share the kitchen with my Titi Carmen.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you.
Titi, why don't you tell people a little bit about yourself?
Well, you know, Jeff, I grew up in New York. I was born in New York, and I was there until I was 15. And then my mom decided we'd come down, and ever since I've lived here.
That's great, and that's so interesting because it's the opposite of what we did, where I grew up here and then moved to the States afterwards. But you know, I really think of you as kind of my Puerto Rican food mentor. So you, when I was growing up, would always be making Puerto Rican food, and you really taught me the love of sofrito, the love of comida criolla, and so I'm just really excited to be sharing the kitchen with you today.
Me too.
Now, it's Christmas time, and one of the things I remember a lot about Christmas was that you would make Sancocho for us, which is such a great soup. And whenever it would get cold outside, and cold meaning like anything less than 70 degrees in Puerto Rico, we would come over to your house and you'd make Sancocho, and it would just be such a great experience. And so I'm excited to get to have you show us how to make Sancocho.
Sure, Jeff.
And so why don't you tell us a little bit about what Sancocho is?
Well, Sancocho is a stew, a vegetable stew with roots of the country. You get them back in your yard, and you have plátanos and guineos, and you just put that in, and it makes a wonderful stew.
Well, it was very wonderful. I'm sure it's going to be just as wonderful, and so we don't want to keep you waiting. So let's get cooking.
Let's go.
As Carmen described, Sancocho is a hearty stew made from a variety of root vegetables that are commonly found in Puerto Rico. And the first thing you need to do is collect all of your ingredients, which calls for a shopping trip. We're going to need plátanos, green bananas, yuca, yautia, malanga, ñame, and potatoes. And one great place to find all of these is the Plaza del Mercado in downtown Mayagüez. This plaza acts as a central hub for farmers in the area, who come to the plaza every morning to drop off goods for sale. So you know that all of the produce here is as fresh as can be and the variety is unrivaled. In addition to being a great place to buy your produce, the Plaza del Mercado is also a great place to learn more about Puerto Rican produce and how people typically use it. So we took this opportunity to chat with one of the vendors who helped us learn how to pick out the best produce, which can sometimes be tricky with root vegetables. Then, with our box full of the things we need to make Sancocho, we headed back home to get the dish started. Hi, Titi. So we just got back from the Plaza del Mercado and we got the stuff for our Sancocho. What did we get?
Okay, we got plátanos, green plantain, we got green bananas, we got yuca or cassava, that's some people call it cassava, we got yautia, ñame, malanga, and potatoes.
Wow, so there's a lot of these root vegetables that all kind of look very similar to people who aren't familiar with them?
Yes.
What's the difference between them?
Okay, yuca is always kind of it has a shiny surface, and most of the time they put something on it that covers it so it will maintain.
Yeah, it looks like a little waxy.
Yeah, like wax.
Okay, so
and
that's
then
yuca.
Yautia looks a lot like ñame, but it's kind of longer and it's thinner, you know, it's small. And then you have the ñame, but the ñame, you have 2 or 3 other kinds of ñame. You have ñame from Florida, you have ñame from de Mina, which is in the backyard, and you get it anywhere for free. But the thing for the sancocho, it must be hard.
Okay.
You know, because these other ñame, you put them to boil, and if they boil for a while, you know, then you have cream of ñame. You have malanga, and you have white and purple malanga. We are using white malanga this time.
Got it.
And potatoes. But Jeff, some people use squash or pumpkin, and others even use sweet potato, Puerto Rican white sweet potato.
And you don't use those?
I don't use that because it kind of tends to give it a sweet taste.
Got it. Now, when we were in the mercado, they told us a little bit about how to pick the right ones. What did we learn?
Well, if you are a Puerto Rican, you know that they do this. Do you see this chip right here? Puerto Ricans normally just put their nail in and they go like that, and if it looks white, that means it's good.
So you're looking for a white inside when you kind of like dig into it?
That's it. You dig into it with your nail and then it looks white, and normally that's what everybody does.
Got it. So that's the Yautia.
And then the Yuca, the Yuca, you can't do that because of the wax.
Yeah.
But then
you break your nail.
He told us there at the plaza, he said that you touch it, and if the ends are hard, they're not soft, that means that the Yuca inside is good.
Got it.
And ñame, he says that you have to look for Hawaii, which is this one, which means that it's kind of harder. You have to boil it for a long time. And that's why it's good for Sancocho. And malanga, normally you can use the purple one or the white one, but in this case, we want everything to be white.
And a great thing about buying it in the Plaza del Mercado is that the gentleman who sold it to us was very happy to cut off the ends so you can actually look in and see if it's white. Because sometimes when you cut into this, they'll be a little dark or there'll be little spots. So that's a great part about buying them fresh here. You can see the insides. So if you're ever in Puerto Rico, you should go to El Plaza del Mercado.
Plaza del Mercado, that's the right place.
Once you've collected all of your ingredients, you want to peel them. We've shown you how to peel most of these in our other videos, so we're not going to spend too much time on this. For the bananas and plantains, you want to cut off the ends and then run a knife along the edges to pierce the thick skin. Once you've pierced the skin in 3 or 4 places, you should be able to use your hands to peel away the green skin, leaving the flesh underneath. If there are still pieces of green left after you've peeled them, just cut them away with a knife. For the yuca and yautia, I like to use a heavy vegetable peeler to remove the outer skin. I've found this method to be the most efficient. Just make sure to peel all the way down to the white flesh underneath the skin. If you find any discolored spots, just go ahead and cut those out with a knife. If you don't have a vegetable peeler, you can also peel them with a knife. Both the malanga and the ñame have extremely thick skins, so I find it easier to use a knife to peel these. Just hold the root against a flat cutting surface and then use your knife to cut away the skin, leaving just the flesh underneath. Finally, go ahead and peel your potatoes with the vegetable peeler. Okay, Titi, so we have all of the vegetables peeled and cleaned. Now we're going to cut them. How big do we want to cut them?
About ½ inch, squared ½ inch.
And so all of them just about ½ inch squared. And how much of all of them are we going to do?
You are going to make sure you have 2 cups of each.
Got it, so 2 cups of each of the things.
Yes.
There are a couple things you want to keep in mind as you're cutting your vegetables. First, you want to try and keep all of the pieces about the same size. This way, you can ensure they cook evenly. You don't want some of your vegetables to still be raw while others are fully cooked. Second, for the yuca, you'll want to cut it in half lengthwise in order to remove a fibrous vein that runs down the middle of the root. This vein is edible, but it's very tough and a lot of people don't find it very pleasant to eat. Finally, make sure to cut away any discolored or soft portions of your roots. These might have off flavors that you don't want to introduce into your sancocho. Okay, so we have all of our stuff ready to make our sancocho. What do we have, Titi?
Okay, you have ½ a cup of olive oil. You have about 15 cloves, and they're smashed.
So crushed garlic.
Crushed, okay. And you have sofrito,
Yep.
a cup of sofrito. You have tomato sauce, which is a can of tomato sauce. You have sazon. And you have 1 tablespoon of salt. And then you have the pieces of the roots. After that, the last one is the ñame, as we had mentioned before. And then at the end, we're just going to garnish.
A little bit of cilantro. All right, well, let's get started.
Go ahead.
With all of your ingredients prepared, the rest of this recipe is very simple. First, heat up a large pan over high heat and add your olive oil. Once your oil's hot, go ahead and add your crushed garlic and saute for 1 to 2 minutes until the garlic is softened. Once the garlic is cooked, go ahead and add your sofrito and keep sauteing. You'll want to saute your sofrito for 4 to 5 minutes until most of the water in the sofrito has evaporated. Next, add your tomato sauce and your sazon. Saute another 2 to 3 minutes in order to let all of the flavors combine. Once your sauce has thickened, go ahead and add your salt. Then add all of your root vegetables except your ñame, which we'll add later. The ñame cooks faster than the other vegetables, so if you added it now, it would basically have dissolved by the time the other vegetables are cooked. Stir your root vegetables to combine them with the sofrito and tomato sauce. Then let them saute for 4 to 5 minutes. Next, add your water, put the lid on, and bring it to a boil over medium heat. Once your sancocho is boiling, go ahead and add your ñame. The other vegetables have gotten a sufficient head start on the cooking that everything should be ready to eat at the same time. Keep boiling your sancocho with the lid on until all of your vegetables are fork tender. Make sure to try each type of vegetable to make sure that everything is cooked. Once fork tender, turn off your stove, add your chopped cilantro, and replace the lid for 5 minutes. This allows the aromatic flavor of the fresh cilantro to blend into the sancocho, giving it a great herbaceous finish. Now, you're ready to serve yourself a bowl of this delicious sancocho.
All right, Titi, there it is.
There it is,
Your
man. Looks
sancocho.
good.
Thanks for showing me how to make it.
Sure, Jeff.
It's just like I remember it.
Anytime.
Go for it. Let's
Let's dig in. So you see how the ñame is kind of a little, it's a little piece, but it's kind of hard. It's not completely, smashed into there like a cream.
Yeah, and if you boiled it too long, that would probably happen, right?
Sure.
That you would just like have
Yes,
mush.
a cream, yeah.
So you don't want to boil it too long, but you also don't want to underboil it because you don't want hard ñame.
That's right.
Well, this is a great recipe. It brings back all the great memories from my childhood. So I'm really happy to be able to share it with you guys. Thank you so much for sharing it.
Sure, Jeff.
We hope you guys liked it. You should really try it out. If you don't live in Puerto Rico, maybe the cold is more of a concern, so you should definitely go make some sancocho for a cold winter night. And then, if you liked our video, we hope that you would like it. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Leave us comments below. Tell us how it went for you. And then join us again next week for another episode of Jeff and Joe's Puerto Rican Kitchen.